Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
Hi, this is Alec Cuenca, and you're listening to Small Talk. Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca and I'm your host. And before anything else, I would like to greet each and every one of you. Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time, then welcome. I hope that you enjoyed this episode because we have an amazing episode right here. I'm very excited for this. If this is your end time, if you're an avid listener of the podcast, then welcome back. I missed you. I hope you're having a great time. Go binge listen the other episodes because they have a lot of amazing insights that you can learn from as well. And today's episode is a very special episode because we have a guest. Here in Small Talk Podcast, we are dedicated in bringing in more people that are invested in self-improvement so that we can dive in a little bit deeper into their minds and maybe get an idea that could potentially help us with the decisions that we make in our lives. So our guest for today is a TV host, an events host, a content creator, a streamer, and she is also the host of After 30, a 30-something reminding you to take deep breaths and live with gratitude. Love, life, fear, relationships, career, sex, food, money, good books, and how life is so much different and oddly the same. I really love that. So let's all welcome to the show, Cara Eriguel. Hi, Cara.
Hi, Alec, and hello to all the listeners of Small Talk with Alec Cuenca. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited.
And so when I was listening to one of your episodes, I really want to talk about this as well. And I listened to one episode about forgiveness. And I think that is a really powerful concept that a lot of people, hindi pa rin sila aware or di pa rin nila kayang i-tackle yung forgiveness. So first and foremost, why do you think forgiveness is very important?
Well, because it's just so heavy to be carrying so much anger and so much baggage. And if you did give the episode that I did about forgiveness, if you gave it a listen, I gave an example where, in like grade school, yung meron kang kaaway, yung parang, hindi tayo bate, whatever, hindi kayo papansinan. But then the other person doesn't even know you're angry pala. And I just can you imagine like weeks of you carrying that, galit ako sa'yo. And like the other person didn't even know that you were angry. So it's just so much energy wasted. And it's just a lot easier to course through life with less of the unnecessary baggage.
Were there any more? Because I really love the example that you gave me nung bata ka, tapos parang may galit, may kaaway ka, tapos hindi nga alam na kaaway ka. But right now, in your adulting phase, were there any moments where you experience a certain pain and hindi kaagad nagpatawad or you didn't give the forgiveness right away?
Oh, yeah. The very, very significant one is the one with my mom. Alam na ba niya to? Baka mamaya magulat siya dito. Na-joke lang. No, I mean, we've all had, we all have whatever issues with our parents, right? And for a lot of us, we blame them for the way we turned out or for the pains that we carry, diba? And for the longest time, I was angry at her for those things, for the shortcomings, for the things that she did before that I felt like affected how I was as a person and how I was in relationships. And I blamed her for that. And until I sought help from, a psychologist. And it was a major effort also on my part to try and hindi pa nga forgiving the goal in my head there. I really just wanted to fix my own issues so that I could be okay. But a huge part of that pala is forgiveness. So you have to, and the super important thing that I clearly remember that my psych told me was that you just have to accept that your expectations from her will never be met. Just accept what she is now, what has happened, and forgive. Diba? You will never forget, but forgiveness does so much for you, your mind, your soul, your body, diba? And it really changed so much in me. Before kasi, pag nag-aaway kami, because there was always that anger in the back of my head, and we had the huge argument, kaya, which prompted me to go and see a psych also and tell her about that, was that parang my mom said something like, when is it ever going to end? When are you ever going to stop throwing the wrong things that I did back at me, diba? Kailan matatapos? When will I stop paying for the wrong things that I've done to you? She asked me. And because I was starting to come from a forgiving place, I had told her that, Mom, I forgive you. I'm choosing to forgive you, but think of it as a sugat na malalim. Tapos nag-heal na yung sugat, pero may scar pa din siya. So I will forgive, yes, but I have forgiven. But the scar will always be there forever. And what I am doing now is just learning to live with the scar better.
Well, that's an amazing concept. And I think what really hurts a lot of us is when we get disappointed, when our expectations are not met. And as you said, yung expectations na meron tayo will never be met. Because as much as we want to have the perfect parents or us to be raised in a certain manner, especially now in social media, we could see like what is definitely right and what is, really, really wrong in how to raise a kid. Like it's now easy for us to do the right things because we have access to that. But sila noon, parang wala naman silang ganto klaseng resources to know what is definitely right and what is definitely wrong. And one thing that I love, I always love talking about, because I too had like a very rough relationship with my father when I was growing up. He would like beat me like physically and emotionally and verbally. But
I'm sorry.
as I was growing up, I realized that it was not entirely his fault because he didn't know any better. Like nung nakita ko yon na parang okay, like what am I gonna do now? Like, maybe hindi niya talaga magets. Hindi niya talaga magets yung pain ko. Maybe hindi talaga mag-heal tong wounds ko. And I think that's a very unique concept that you shared, is that we can never really heal. Maybe we can never really heal some of the wounds that we have. We can just try to learn to live with it. And I want to ask, in your, with your relationship with your mother and the other people, like, do you ever come to a point na parang wala na talagang bigat? Or paano mo nasasabi na you have forgiven this person already?
I think masasabi ko na completely ko nang na-forgive ang isang tao kapag meron siyang nasabi or nagawa ulit that triggers something in me that used to be such a huge trigger before. And my reaction to that would be to step back, take a deep breath, and come from a loving place and just be honest with that person. Like, I don't like what you said. What do you mean? Kasi diba, this is also another major thing about forgiveness, is that the thing about our minds is that we have different stories in our heads. Like when you're in an argument or when you've been wronged by someone. Diba? It could have started from may sinabi ako, that's not really what I meant, but because you were angry or you had this perception of me, the story that you heard it differently. Diba? I can say, I love you, I love you, I love you. I can say it in that way. Diba? And pwede mo siyang nakuha, napilitan ka lang eh. But me, I really meant it. Alam mo yun? So when you're speaking with someone and when it starts to feel like you're getting angry or it's getting harder for you to come from a forgiving place, just always step back and think, what's the story in my head? And what could be the story in that person's head? This is what I meant. What did you mean? But what did you mean? Kasi na-trigger ako sa sinabi mo eh. But what did you really mean? Because I heard it differently. And that's a huge step moving towards coming from a forgiving place. Is trying to understand whether it's hurting you or not, is to try to understand where the other person is coming from.
That's amazing. And I think, forgiveness is such a heavy word as well that we throw sa iba't ibang bagay. Pero it's also a messy thing. Like, it's not this I forgive you and let go na lang lahat. It consists of a lot of more complex emotions, but still it has the same goal. It's you focusing more on your reactions or how you see or how you perceive the situation na hindi ka lang basta-basta nagre-react. So one thing that I like about that is I think it falls down to us being able to learn about the things that we have control over, and yung mga bagay na wala talaga tayong control. When was the moment that you felt that ganun pala talaga yung forgiveness na it's about within, it happens inside of you?
And you can't get it from somebody else or from outside, diba? That's the thing, you can't change a person, you can't force a person to change para ma-forgive mo siya. Parang no matter what the other person who did no matter what they did to you that hurt you, ikaw lang naman ang makakapag make that huge step towards forgiveness. You can't expect that from anybody else, really. I mean, come on. From my relationships with my parents and now with my husband, when we argue, when we fight, ang daming sisihan lalo pag mag-asawa na kayo, di ba? Kasi mahal na mahal yung isa't isa, pero also, all the deepest, darkest secrets of each other. So, alam mo yung nagagamit as bala di ba? To hurt the other person. And now when hurtful things have been said or hurtful things have been done, it's harder to forgive now because you expect that person na nga to love you and not to hurt you. But ironically, di ba, the people you truly, truly love are the ones who can actually hurt you the most.
Ang galing. Like one thing din na parang I remembered something na ako parang sa akin, kunyari, every time na may argument, even with, especially with loved ones, tapos pag nagsasorry na sila, I don't know if you feel the same way, pero I kind of feel bad. I kind of feel sad or bad inside na parang, kasi, okay, yun yung ina-expect mo Yun yung ina-expect mo pag nagkakaroon ng argument. Like, marinig mo yung sorry. Pero the moment na marinig mo siya, parang ikaw tuloy na, wala naman yun hindi naman talaga big deal yun. Wala naman yun sa akin. Parang okay na, ganyan. Parang ikaw pala, parang pag binalikan mo siya na, pwede mo naman palang i-drop na lang pero it's your pride or whatever, your ego is holding you up. Pero the truth is, it's not a big deal para sa'yo talaga. It's like, you just want to win the argument. And so, yeah. But I think, karamihan naman nata tayo na experience yan. But yeah, so I want to ask you now, like, what's your like best tips or best practices for forgiving someone? Do you have like, a specific set of rules on how to forgive a person? Like, for example, someone did a really, really bad thing sa'yo. Like, kung meron kang ex na nag-cheat sa'yo, tapos nag-ask for forgiveness, or like, may manakit talaga sa'yo na hindi mo na makakalimutan, na lumagpas na talaga sa boundary mo, what do you do?
Balikan pa ba natin yung mga ex? Tingnan natin kung aabot tayo doon. Pero pag-usapan na lang natin yung isang recent thing that also happened to me. Gosh, I don't know if she's going to be able to hear this. But anyway, it's so funny because all of this is so timely. I actually just had seen a friend yesterday whom I haven't spoken to since before I got married in December. She was one of my bridesmaids, one of my good friends. And my wedding was through Zoom. And she didn't show up. No message, nothing. She just vanished. She didn't show up. And of course, at the day of my wedding, I was like, oh, she didn't show up. But I was too busy, just being happy, planning everything, la-di-da-da-da. And then when I got back to Manila, it was actually my husband who was like, where was she? How come she wasn't there? Yung husband ko yung ganun siya yung mapagtanim How come she wasn't there? So ako tuloy napaisip, oh nga no, why didn't she show up? So I was like, baka she was just going through something. Sabi niya, hay nako, it's not an excuse. Diba, pinifeed ako ng husband ko. You should be angry. You should be hurt. Da-da-da. So ako parang, I think I was, because I had working on forgiveness so long, right? And I think I was coming from, I'm sure whatever it was that happened to her was something really grave for her to do that to me. Or for her to do that in general. Baka naman hindi lang ako yung ginanon niya. Alam mo yun, hindi mo umiikot yung mundo sa akin Diba? I'm sure something happened to her, for her to decide to go that route and just not show up and vanish when she knows it would be very special for me for her to be there. So I messaged her. I said, "Hi, how are you? Are you okay?" Yun yung message ko sa kanya. Because nga I was coming from, grabe naman yun, no? Baka may pinagdadaanan kasi hindi talaga siya, wala, bigla siya nawala. So when I saw her yesterday, because of a friend's child's birthday, she was so awkward with me. And I had just let it go already. When she messaged me a long, long message explaining, I just couldn't find it in my heart to reply to her yet because I didn't know what to say to her. But when I saw her yesterday, I just wanted to hug her. Alam mo yun, I missed her. And she was the one who was so awkward with me. Hindi siya makalapit. Tapos parang sabi niya, kasi yung text mo pa sa akin, how are you? Sabi niya, siguro kung yung text mo sa akin, hoy, bakit wala ka ng wedding ko? Baka nasagot pa kita. Sabi niya, pero ba't ang bait pa nung text mo? Sabi niya. Tapos sorry siya nang, sorry, ganyan, ganyan. Tapos doon ko na-feel yung sinasabi mo kanina na, di, wala yun. Okay lang yun. Of course, I didn't say it that way, but I was just like, exactly. I told her that maybe you were going through something. So now as a friend, I would love to hear what you were going through that made you decide to just not show up at my wedding. What you did hurt me. It really hurt me because you weren't there and you're very special to me and I really wanted to be there. You were a freaking bridesmaid. You weren't just a guest. And you didn't show up. So it hurt me. So that's it. It hurt me then. That's a wedding. I still have my whole marriage for you to show up, hopefully, right? So huwag mo na sigurong gagawin sa akin yun ever. But yun, and that was also major forgiveness that she couldn't understand, which is weird because she was the one asking for forgiveness, but she couldn't understand why she was telling me, don't naman belittle the hurt that you were feeling. It's okay. I know I owe you, blah, blah. So I was like, it's okay. It's okay. Something happened to you. It's okay.
Hey guys, before we proceed to the rest of the episode, I just want to share something that I discovered recently. I am a firm believer that we need to protect ourselves and our data online. We need to securely access different apps, different websites, different entertainment services as we browse across the internet. And a good thing that I learned about NordVPN. NordVPN makes sure that all of our data stays safe behind a wall of next generation encryption. It's the fastest VPN. We don't need to sacrifice speed for better security. It also offers uninterrupted streaming, and you can use it on multiple devices. We partnered with NordVPN through Podmetrics for you guys to also enjoy the same experience. They have an amazing promo right now that allows you to get 73% off of the 2-year plan plus 4 months free when you use our link in the description and code before checking out. They also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for a NordVPN account now. When you get to this certain point of peace sa buhay mo, like hindi mo nakakailanganin to, wala ka ng sense to be right. Parang gano'n na parang now it's okay if I'm not right, that's okay. I just don't want to hold any negative energy inside my body, so I'm dropping it all. So what I do with that is I come from a point of empathy. So parang lagi ko lang iniisip na no, always hurt people. So kung isang tao may nagawa sa akin, probably nasasaktan din siya in one way or another. So were you able to like verify that phrase? Medyo nabitin ako sa kwento pero like I'm not asking you to go into the details, pero sige, let's just talk about like the phrase hurt people, because you also said that in that episode. So could you dive a little bit deeper into that concept and have you experienced that or seen that from other people in your life?
Yeah, I've experienced it firsthand myself. And now, because I guess thankfully for these podcasts, for the conversations that I've had with people such as, you, Alec, and, other people who are woke in this sense, or who are self-aware, right?
Yeah.
We've been going through this journey of self-awareness. And I think I've got myself a few times. Alam mo yun, it's just common sense. If I'm not doing okay, it's harder for me to come from a good place. If you're hurting, this other person could also be hurting. In the same way, it's also been done to me. A very close family member of mine, when he was in a very bad place, was just very, very hurtful towards me. And it only happened, and I only found out what he was going through when we went through therapy together as a family. And he told us what he was actually, and it was really bad. Yun, I cannot divulge, but like he was going through something really bad, and he was he was snappy at everybody. He wouldn't show up to family things, and yun nga he was very hurt. Hence, he was overflowing with hurt and pain. So yun lang naman ang mabibigay mo kung yun lang ang meron ka eh. If you're filled to the brim with hurt and anger, then that's what will overflow, and that's what will spill over to the people closest to you even.
Yeah, ang galing lang nun, no? Na parang what like manifests outside of you, like the vibe that you give or the energy that you give out, it's because that's what fills you inside. So if you are sharing love and kindness, then you're probably being kind to yourself inside, and you have a lot of love inside. And at the same time, if you're hurting other people, if you're like kinakalat mo yung sakit or bad trips sa mundo, yung bad vibes, kasi yun yung nag-feel sa'yo. So when I experienced that, nung parang nagpatawad na ako, napalitan yung galit ng gratitude. Nang parang instead of me thinking about remorse or guilt, ganyan guilt trip or shame ko siya sa ginawa niya, like I now have this feeling of gratitude, because when I try to look at from a macro perspective, I see that there are a lot of lessons behind the pain na binibigay sa akin nung taong yun. Have you experienced something like that? Have you become like grateful in a sense sa mga taong nakasakit sa'yo?
That's beautiful. I love how you said, the anger turned into gratitude eventually when you step back and tried to look at it in a different perspective. Ito na, balikan na natin yung mga ex. Na-mention mo na rin siya kanina. Magagamit din pala natin sila, no? Useful naman sila sa buhay ko. Wag naman natin sila i-discredit. I'm gonna use them as a major example for this one, because I am recently married to a very wonderful man, to a man I would never have fallen in love with had I met him 5 years ago, and I hadn't worked on myself. But I'm very grateful for the exes who hurt me, who cheated on me. This might not sound good that I'm grateful for someone who cheated on me, but that they put me through all that pain. That they put me through all that pain because it allowed me to get to the lowest of my low in terms of self-respect, and which led me to seeing a psychologist and seeking help so that I could fix that and get out of that rut. That then allowed me to start the journey to getting to know myself better, loving myself better. I was single for 3 years, after all that. And I was single and I wasn't unhappy. I was single and happy in finding myself, and I was, starting a career for myself. I was, and it was all because of those hurtful things and bad decisions that I had done before. But I'm grateful for everything that happened to me, all the pains brought about by these people, because it led me to a very grateful state that I am in now. Diba? I feel like if hindi ko naramdaman lahat ng yon, hindi ko ma-realize kung gaano pala ka-wonderful magkaroon ng isang mabait na lalaki na, my God, meron palang ganito magmahal. Alam mo yun? Yung, deserve ko pala yung ganitong may maglalove pala sa akin ng ganito kahit ang baho ng utot ko. Alam mo yun? Yung mga ganun lang. Sorry, I'm just trying to put it in a lighter manner,
Yeah.
But yeah, and I have actually told them. I have told a couple of exes who apologized to me 5 years later. super
Yeah.
appreciated out of the blue. Yung isa kasi the girlfriend cheated on him daw. So sabi niya, sorry, yung sakit pala nun. Siyempre tumawa muna ako ng malakas na malakas. Haha, buti nga. But like, I also told him, I'm so thankful. Wow, that's pretty big of you to come to me and apologize. And I really appreciate it. 5 years late, but very, very much appreciated. So I am grateful for all the pains that I went through. Because it led me to the life that I have now.
Yeah. And like you wouldn't be grateful if you were still going through the process of change, right? Like you can only it's hard, it's a hard concept, and kaya nga parang tayo we try to push people na kung nahihirapan man like kayo, keep going kasi darating talaga yung araw na you will be grateful or you will see the purpose behind the pain that you are experiencing. So now I want to, because you touched on a little bit on this earlier, like you learned to love yourself more nung nilagay ka nila sa rock bottom mo. So can you talk about this journey to loving yourself more? When did this start? Or like what's like the major transitions that happened na akala mo dati ganito lang yung buhay tas biglang no, I gotta love myself pala. And self-love is a very important concept pala. When was the moment that you learned that?
That was when I went and saw my psychologist, who I'm still seeing until this day. This was 7 years ago, 6 years ago, thereabouts. I had just come from a really, really toxic relationship. And parang I just felt like I kept attracting the same type of men. What is wrong with me? Is it me? Is it my taste? Is something written on my face? Alam mo yun? What is it? And my pains were always the same. So, baka ako yung problema, di ba? Yun na yun eh. Baka may problema talaga ako kasi paulit-ulit eh. So I did. So I went and saw 3 actually. The first 2, and this is something you know everybody should also know. When you go see a therapist, it won't always work the first time. Second time, you're lucky if you find a really good therapist. The first time, chances are you won't. So just find someone who works for you. So the third one, who I'm still seeing now, her name is Sophie. Bless her heart. She had told me that I will only be able to help you, and you will only be able to help yourself once you've accepted that you really truly need help. Kasi kung feeling mo okay ka pa, you're not gonna seek help, right? And there won't be any change because you're okay. You're so. Okay pa naman na wala namang problema eh, di ba? Pero ito na, di ba? Pinuntahan na kita, magbabayad. Di kaya mura therapist. Pinag-ipunan ko yun. Babayaran kita for your time. Help me fix me. Alam mo, help me figure out what this is. And I realized that I really needed help when I was already, like almost close to depression. Like I couldn't leave. I had such low self-esteem. I wouldn't go to parties. I won't show up to my friends' places. I just stayed at home, kept to myself. Ganon. And then I did see her, and it wasn't like overnight. Alam mo yun, it doesn't really happen overnight, and that's the reality of it. It's a journey that, for me, it took 3 years. I think to be able to work on that. It was a conscious effort to not be in a relationship. I was dating, but I did not go into any relationship. And I think that was kasi a serial monogamist. Lagi akong my boyfriend. Pero ganon. And that was 3 years of me not committing to anybody because parang unti-unti nare-realize ko, yung nagsisift ka na, diba? Yung nalalearn ko ng i-love yung sarili ko. Nalalearn ko na, and this is the most important lesson that I learned in my 20s, is that I don't need to force anybody to love me. And that's what I was doing in all those relationships. And I realized that through that journey of finding myself and working on myself and loving myself more, is that because I didn't love myself enough and I didn't really know myself enough, I kept on changing myself. Depende kung ano yung gusto kung sino yung boyfriend ko nun, kung sino yung friends ko nun, kung ano yung gusto niya na Cara, diba? Just so they'll love me or they'll want to be with me. Because I didn't love and respect myself enough. So yeah, and that's so important for me that I didn't need to force anybody to love me. So that I think when I started thinking that way, I started not getting attracted to the men I used to attract before. Diba? And then I met my husband, diba? 3 years later, I met him. We were just talking the whole night. We were talking ganyan. And he was so nice to me. And through the course of this relationship, and I still tell him this now, wow, meron palang kayang magmahal sa akin ng without the fuss, without the makeup, without me
Oh.
having to change anything. Diba? Without me trying to be the cool girl that I was trying to be. Alam mo yon, before. He just loved me for me. And wow, yun pala yun. Yun pala yung makukuha mo kapag minahal mo na rin yung sarili mo. Kasi yun yung makikita nila. Yun yung makikita nung tao, magmamahal din sa'yo. Namahal mo yung sarili mo.
That is really, really beautiful. Like even in the relationship sense, when we're trying to find the one, na parang will you parang masasabi mo, is it really possible? Like every time you search for the one, you end up especially if you don't have enough self-love sa sarili mo, or medyo mababa ang self-esteem mo, when you're trying to search for the one, you eventually change yourself depende sa kung
Accept
sinong
them.
ka-date mo. Para sa kanila. Di ba? Binabago mo yung sarili mo para sa kanila. Like, na hindi mo alam, na hindi mo napapansin. But if you become the one for the person for, na pwede mo pakasalan in the future, you won't even have to change yourself. If you put enough work to work on yourself, to love yourself, hindi mo na kailangan mag-adjust. You just love yourself so much, and then the right person will come into your life and accept and love you for the way you are. And it's a perfect manifestation of what I always say, na don't chase, you don't chase, you attract. And when you say na I don't chase, I attract, like it's so powerful. Like that mantra is so powerful. Be careful when you try to, leverage that. Because eventually, you will attract a lot of people. Pero even though you're attracting, di ba sabi mo parang nakikipag-date ka, pero hindi ka masyadong nag-invest or pumasok sa isang relationship kasi you're still learning to love yourself. Pero dumating sa point na hindi mo na talaga kailangan. Hindi mo na kailangan kasi you love yourself so much, pero biglang dumating. You attract the right person that made you so happy right now. And I'm just so happy, and sana all. Pero ang saya-saya lang makarinig, no?
Salamat. Hindi naman perfect. Salamat.
Hindi.
Pero hindi pa rin perfect. Wala namang perfect na relationship, guys. But I think, if someone were to ask me talaga, ano yung perfect relationship? What makes you say you're so happy? Yun. Yung just being loved for who you are. Honestly. Grabe, ilang taon na ako nun. 30 na ako nun, man. When I found someone that I really felt loved me for just exactly who I was. Flaws and all.
Yeah. I love that. So, I just want to go back before we dive into, mapunta na tayo sa relationships and love. Before I want to talk about that, meron lang ako isang tanong, because you said that the first step to loving yourself is accepting that there is something that needs to be fixed. Or parang, alam mo yun, na when you're in this journey in improving yourself, you need to first accept that you need to improve. Like, ganun talaga. So can you tell us a little more about that? What did you learn throughout that process?
Let's say, for instance, I guess in relationships nga, no, that I was always looking for, like what I said earlier, what made me realize that that something needed to be fixed is that there was always a pattern of me going for destructive relationships. Just relationships with men who were emotionally unavailable, physically unavailable, just generally unavailable and hurtful. And it was always, ewan ko kung subconsciously or baka nga consciously na yun yung hinahanap ko. At the time, I had my love will change you. Yung alam mo na bago ka pumasok, alam mong sasaktan ka nito. Pero hindi, my love will change you. If I change myself this way, you're going to love me, not like all the other girls, whatever. And when it became a consistent pattern with me, I knew that something had to be done. And it wasn't even just that. Actually, when I went to my psych, I was like, babaw nung problem ko. And to me, it was then babaw kasi feeling ko in my head, you go to a therapist when it's like something deep or you're in, deep depression or it's a huge deal. And for me, relationships naman actually yung pinunta ko dun eh. Bakit ba lagi naman nasasaktan? Feeling ko ang babaw-babaw ng problema. But then, it allowed me to dig deeper into what was the root of that? Why did I always feel the need to be in destructive relationships? Oh, it was because I was destructive with myself. Ooh. It was because I was self-destructive. It was because I really wasn't ready to commit myself. Hence, I was going for men who were, I guess, subconsciously not really going to commit to me. Yeah. In turn, alam mo yun? And it takes a lot, I guess, for you to really accept that something needs to be fixed. I think I was just really in a lot of pain. Really in a lot of pain. And yung pattern nga na paulit-ulit na lang na parang walang nangyayari. Doon ko na-realize, may problema. and it's always good to be able to catch yourself and realize that you're probably maybe the one with the problem and something has to be fixed. Kasi actually mas pinaka natatakot ako sa mga tao who never think they're wrong and who always find it offensive when you tell them that they could be doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Because there's no room for change or improvement.
I hope you're all doing well today. My name is Cara, and just dropping by to let you know that I too have my own podcast. It's called After 30 with Cara Eriguel. I talk about love, fear, relationships, career, sex, food, money, books, and how life is so much different and oddly the same after 30. So when you're done listening to this episode, go ahead and check out mine. Again, it's After 30 with Cara Eriguel, available wherever you get your podcasts. See you there.
Yeah, I love that. And by the way, this is not an easy task. Like we can talk about it right now. It seems easy and simple, but the truth is it requires a lot of courage to do something, to accept na like maybe it is you. Like it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You were programmed, deep inside your subconscious, yung mga beliefs mo nung bata ka growing up that led you to have those decisions, to have those lifestyle that you are, self-destructing. But it is in your responsibility to accept and acknowledge na, okay, this is where I'm at right now. And there's something that needs to be fixed, improved upon. And as you said, nakakatakot nga pag hindi nakikita ng mga tao na no, we can have that mindset, because if we have that mindset, we have room to grow. And exactly. Like I always say this, like the first step to solving a problem is to acknowledging that there is one. So alam mo yun, it's a very powerful concept, and I think you can start your self-love journey with just that, accepting that you need to love yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, and you'll know it. Your body first will know it when you're always tired. You get little headaches, you get nausea. When you're just parang ang bigat ng pakiramdam. Diba, nagma-manifest siya physically sa katawan mo eh. Your body will always find ways to tell you that, huy, love mo naman ako. You love mo naman ako more. Pakinggan mo lang. And I think once you start to listen to your body and your soul even, that you need to love yourself more, then that's when the change will come and the work can be done.
I love that. Your body catches up eventually. So if your mind is not healthy, if your soul is not healthy, your body will definitely catch up. So minsan nga pag parang tinry natin upuan ng isang araw and let us just feel our body, doon pa tayo magkakasakit eh. Pag tinigil na natin yung pagtatakbo or pagde-distract sa atin with work, with alam mo yun, kung ano ng mga ginagawa natin, pag inupuan natin and let's just be, parang doon pa nagka-catch up yung katawan natin eh. When our body catch up, doon natin ma-realize, okay, I'm not healthy. There's I need to love myself a little bit more. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Now, I wanna talk a little bit more about the relationships because you touched on that. Because it's a really inspiring story, and it's not those what you see sa mga fairy tales or sa mga Disney movies, di ba? Pero can you talk about how different it is from the expectations you had? Because by the way, congratulations on your recent wedding. Pero alam mo yun, what's like the main expectations that you had before na parang hindi pala ganito pala talaga siya. So maybe you could share that for the very young listeners here on Salt Talk.
Expectations saan? What do you mean?
Sa marriage, sa married life.
Oh, tas hindi pala ganon.
Hindi pala ganon.
Oh, it's okay. Weddings are beautiful. Yes, go ahead.
Or kung may mga expectations, tas ganun pala talaga. Parang ano yung
sa marriage? Okay. What was I saying? Weddings are beautiful. It's all, diba? All butterflies and rainbows and la-da-da and you're in bliss and all these things. And then after that, marriage happens. And marriage is tough. I guess what's good with me is that I had zero expectations because I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up in a household. I didn't see a married couple while I was growing up. I was raised first by my grandmother alone, and then I was raised by my mother. So I was raised by two very strong women. I would see my father from time to time, but I never saw marriage in the household. So wala akong example. Wala akong nothing to compare it to. So I came in this with zero expectations. I just knew I loved him. I knew I wanted to build a life with him. I know some shoulds because of the marriage books that I started reading. Kasi wala akong alam eh. Ano ba? Paano ba maging wife? Ano ba dapat yung magbabago? Magluluto ako, ganun lang ba? LDR pa kami, di ba? So, what is a marriage?
So,
what is
food
it?
panda na lang, ganun.
And to be honest, my husband and I are actually going through therapy now because we're LDR. And I felt like there were things that needed a little bit of sifting with the both of us to allow us to. And just because you're going through marriage, therapy, and it's I would advise it. I would definitely advise it. It doesn't mean there's something wrong. It just means you're two very different people who handle things very differently. Finances, your emotions, your arguments, and now you're suddenly going to be together forever. So how do you handle all those differences in one household? Diba? Forever. And that is the operative word, forever. So therapy really helps, getting to know each other even deeper. And it's more because you want to be able to deal with each other better. And that's, I think, an expectation that I had because of the marriage books that I was reading, is that you will always fight. You will always fight about something. You will always disagree about something. And because it's three separate entities pala. It's it's me, my husband in this case, and our marriage. The marriage, our union, is separate from the both of us. It's a separate entity in itself that we both need to work on. And it takes some sacrifice. It takes a lot of pagtataya. Diba? Ano yung English ng taya? It takes a lot of
risk.
Risk, okay, but there's a better word for it. Maybe I'll remember it later. But it takes a lot of pagtataya for the relationship, of jumping on the boat together, of taking risks together to make your relationship work. And it's hard work. Again, because you come from very different backgrounds, very different beliefs, limiting or otherwise. And you just have to learn to work through all of those and live together. And it's not easy. It's an expectation. Something that I expected, which is why I came into it ready for battle. Not for battle, but ready to work on it. Ready to take on it.
Well,
Sinira ko ba yung Disney? Sinira ko ba yung ano? Did you mean for that to be a beautiful thing? Sorry. Let me
No,
try to
no,
end up
no.
with a beautiful thing.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's destroy the stereotypes that we have for Disney princesses. This is real life, guys. Ito talaga yung nangyayari.
No, kasi
Anyway,
we see all these
yeah.
marriages, diba? All these celebrities. Oh, they're so
Mhm.
perfect. Oh, they're so blah, blah, blah. What we don't know behind closed doors is that it's tough to be with someone other than yourself.
It's hard. It's hard. And it's okay. It's okay. It's
And
definitely
it's
okay.
beautiful. Sorry, let me end it
Yeah.
with a good note. And it's
Okay.
beautiful. It's a beautiful journey because you have both decided to be with each other no matter what, to love each other no matter what. Yun eh. Yun yung marriage eh. Yung, uy, meron na akong kaakibat na kasama ko sa buhay, na magbe-build kami ng buhay namin together because we have agreed to build this life together.
Yeah.
O yan, okay naman. Good naman, no? Good.
Ang ganda na. Ang ganda na nung quote natin doon sa dulo. Okay. So, I want to talk about it, but bitin tayo sa oras. So, I want to now talk about your podcast because your podcast is titled After 30. So, what's the concept behind it?
I had started it because I just quit radio at the time and I missed it. I missed the microphone. I missed talking in general. And I just wanted my brain to keep working. But also because I had just turned 30 at the time. And I had a lot of pressure. I felt a lot of pressure turning 30. Diba? Ang dami na expectations eh. More actually, not to be sexist or anything, but more for women who are turning 30 biologically, financially and all these things. And I wanted to put it out there. I wanted to just, you know what? Ay, harapin na natin to. Alam mo yan, meron pa sa trabaho, lalo na pag babae, yung you lie about your age. I say I'm 27, 28, whatever, ganyan. Because pag 30, parang masyado ka nang matanda for this role. Parang masyado ka nang matanda for this project or whatever, ganyan. And I'm like, no, that's not me. I'm going to accept that I'm 30 and love and thrive in my 30s. So my first episode was actually, how do we do this? What do we do? And it was me just talking about, oh my God, I'm so insecure. All my insecurities, all my fears. And I wanted it to be a safe space for women in their 30s, people generally in their 30s or approaching their 30s to know that it's not just, they're not alone in whatever it is they're feeling. It's normal. And it's also okay to feel however it is they're feeling. And they have a safe space with a group of other people who feel the exact same way and who are going through the exact same things.
I was just about to ask na parang, okay, what's your advice for the people who are in their 20s? But I figured na, no, that's the point. Whether you are in your 20s or in your 30s, of course, there's still some like difference in terms of experience, pero you are all in the process of learning more about yourselves and learning more about life, right? So regardless kung 34 or 40 years old, if you come to a point that you really don't know what you're doing or you have these insecurities, you have these fears and doubts, that's okay. Because we experience that all the time. A lot of people experience that and you don't need to worry about it. So let me just ask that question in a phrase like, what do you think is your best advice for people who are approaching their 30s?
It's the same. It's just oddly the same. It's just an age. Don't feel too pressured. Just go for whatever makes your heart happy and whatever sparks joy without hurting anyone, of course. but the pressure is, it's an idea. It's non-existent. It's not real. Diba? It's not real. It's just an age. So work on bettering yourself, being kinder to yourself so that you can overflow with kindness to other people. And that if you haven't figured out what you want to do yet at 30, some people find their passion at 50, at 60. Diba? It's just in your own time.
I love that.
You will figure out life in your own time. But just have fun.
Yeah, have fun. And I want to ask probably one of my last questions is if you like is there something that you wish you would have done differently before dun sa going through the different experiences that you had? Was there anything that you wish, because now you know better, right?
Mhm.
Or meron ka bang isang moment na parang you wish you could have done differently?
Hmm. Yun, I wish I could have loved myself more. I wish I could have started the journey to loving myself more earlier in life. Maybe I wouldn't have been as hurt as I was. But then again, if I didn't go through that, di ako aabot sa ganito eh. So,
Yeah.
wala actually. Wow,
Wala.
look at
Diba?
me. How big of me to say. There's
Yeah.
nothing I regret. Wala talaga. I wish I would have done it differently. Really none. None that I can think of now. Balikan kita pag meron ako naisip.
That's good. I mean, that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. Na parang no, everything that happened for a reason. And you might have done something differently before, but maybe na lesson pa yung sakit noon, nabawasan man yung sakit, pero nabawasan din yung strength na pwede mong makuha dun sa sakit na yun. So, all gratitude. We are all thankful for the experiences na pinagdaanan natin. So, I really enjoyed this talk, Cara. I am really grateful na pumayag ka to have this conversation. I really love talking to like-minded people. But before I let you go, I have this small segment here on Small Talk. It's called Real Talk. Sorry, it's called 5 Questions. So this is 5 questions with Cara Eriguel. And I'll ask you some questions and you need to answer it with either one word, one phrase, or one sentence. So it's wholesome naman to. Wholesome naman tayo. Wala naman tayo wala namang problema. Okay. Ready?
Okay.
So, first question. What is happiness?
Happiness is living by the beach.
Nice. I know a lot of people could agree to that. Thank you for that. Second question. What is success?
Oof. Success is being fulfilled emotionally, psychologically, physically, and being comfortable with what it is that you have.
Wow.
Success
Yeah,
is
I love
not
that.
necessarily money.
May balance. Eh. Ang ganda. So, third question. What is the best advice someone has given to you?
KISS, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Gusto mo yun? Keep it simple, stupid. No, actually, you know what? Scratch that. The best advice so far is something my father said at my wedding via Zoom. And he said, don't let life get in the way of your living.
Ooh, wow. That is nice. That is so nice. Thank you for that. Okay, fourth question. What is the worst advice that you have ever received?
Oh gosh, worst advice? Save all your money and keep them in the bank.
Amazing advice. I could vouch for that.
Galing!
Galing na nagsabi nun. Okay, last question. What do you want your legacy to be?
Wow! Bakit naman ganun yung tanong mo? Apakalalim nun ah. I want to be able to create a safe space and create change and create a platform for people who do not feel like they have a voice to be able to speak and be heard. And to learn to be kinder to themselves and be able to, and then in return, to be able to kinder to humankind. And I thank you both.
There you have it, guys. Cara Eriguel. Cara, thank you so much for being here on Small Talk. I enjoyed this talk. I hope you enjoyed this small and sweet conversation as
Very much.
well. Thank you again for coming here. If they want to learn more about the things that you do, please let them know where can they find you online, of course.
Gusto kayo online, of course. You can find me at the beach. Chart. No, thank you very much, Alec. First of all, of course, for having me here. Thank you so much for allowing me this space and allowing me to share some of the things that I also know and share my energy with you in this platform. You guys, please do check out my podcast as well. I do have an episode there with the Alec Cuenca, where we talk about what do you do when you're languishing and how to get out of the rut when you're languishing. Please check out After 30 with Cara Eriguel on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And check me out on Instagram and Facebook. That's at Cara Eriguel and at After 30 with Cara Eriguel. There.
Again, Cara, thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. So, guys, if you like this episode, go ahead and share this on Instagram. And don't forget to tag us at Cara Eriguel and at Small Talk Podcast. And yeah, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, do not forget to leave this podcast a rating and review because it helps the podcast a lot. And yeah, it's just amazing that the podcast is growing so much because of you guys who keeps on sharing the podcast on your social media channel. So thank you again for listening. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. My name is Alec Cuenca. This is Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. And I'll talk to you guys next episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Small Talk. For more updates, you can follow me at Small Talk Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok. That's at Small Talk Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.
Hey guys, before we head on to this episode, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Because of you guys, the podcast is now a top 3. It's now the top 3 podcast here in the Philippines. It's real. I can't believe it. But I have you guys to thank for that. I am really grateful for each and every one of you. And I will never, ever forget this moment that I am here. But the work is not yet finished. There's still a lot of things that we need to improve on, which is why I am announcing that I will be having a self-improvement webinar entitled Your Best Year Ever, a Start to Your Personal Greatness. It is going to be a 3-hour webinar, and we're going to talk all about self-improvement. Everything that I learned, I will share there. So if you guys want to join that, then make sure that you send me a message right now at Alec Cuenca. The website is not yet finished, but I am accepting a waiting list, or you could already reserve your slot right now. So if you are interested in that, then send me a message on Instagram at Alec Cuenca. And yeah, there are only going to be 100 slots available for this webinar. So make sure that you reserve your slot right now. And with that, let's head on to the episode. So if you're interested in that, then send me a message